Hello guys, good morning. You are welcome to my YouTube channel, the SP Tutorials, and my name is Don Joseph. Please, as you are watching this video, endeavor to subscribe, like, share, and comments. In today's video, we shall be treating a before 1-2 comparative vertebrate embryology. Now, the topic we are going to be treating right now is oogenesis. Oogenesis. In our previous class, we treated spermatogenesis, which means the production of what sperm in the seminiferous tubule of the testes. Okay, now oogenesis is similar to spermatogenesis and is somehow different from spermatogenesis. Okay, during oogenesis, the primordial germ cell would undergo mitosis to produce oogonia. All right, but in spermatogenesis, it produces what? Spermatogonia. It produces what? Spermatogonia. Now, all of these oogonia formed, not all will develop into the primary oocyte. It is only one that will develop into the primary oocytes. Primary oocytes. It is only one that will develop into the primary oocyte as long as it undergoes what? A certain level of growth. But the spermatogonia, each spermatogonia will increase in size to produce what is called what? Primary spermatocyte. You see, all of them will increase in size to produce a primary spermatocyte. But in oogenesis, only one oogonium will increase in size to produce what? A primary oocyte. Take note of that. Now, this primary oocyte that is produced will enter into the prophase stage of meiosis 1. The same thing is applicable to primary spermatocytes in spermatogenesis. Okay, now these primary oocytes produced will undergo two meiotic division. The first meiotic division produce secondary oocytes. All right, the first meiotic division produce what? A secondary oocyte and a polar body. Then the second meiotic division produce what? Another polar body, which means that the primordial germ cell undergoes what? Mitosis. The primordial germ cells undergo mitosis, but the primary oocyte or the primary spermatocyte undergo meiosis. The primary oocyte or the primary spermatocyte undergoes meiosis, but the primordial germ cell undergoes what? Mitosis. Take note of that. In spermatogenesis, the primary spermatocytes definitely undergoes two meiotic division. The first will produce what? A secondary spermatocyte, while the second division will produce what? 4 spermatids, which means that at the end of spermatogenesis, 4 daughter cells are produced and they are all functional. They produce what? Gamete, which is the egg or what? Which is the sperm or spermatozoa. Okay, but in females, all of the 4 daughter cells produced, it is only this secondary oocyte that is functional. In females, it is only this secondary oocyte produced that is what? Functional, which means that others degenerates and it is considered non-functional. Okay, take note of that. Sure, before the oogonia develops into the primary oocyte, it must undergo proliferation. It must undergo proliferation. The word proliferation means the ability for something to increase or multiply, for it to increase or what? Multiply. Now, these oocytes produced, the oocyte produced will begin to what? Grow. It will undergo a certain amount of what? A certain level of what? Growth. Now, The level of growth it undergoes depends on the organism involved. The level of growth it undergoes depends on the organism involved. For example, the amphibians. For example, now the amphibians, it takes 3 years. It takes 3 years for these oocytes to get to maturity. It takes good 3 years for these oocytes to get to what? Maturity. And please, in amphibians, young oocytes measures 500 macro in diameter. That is the young one, but as soon as it develops completely, it measures about 1000 macro to 2000 macro diameter. All right, take note of that. All right, in amphibians, it takes how many years? 3 years for the oocytes to get to what? Maturity, for it to grow completely. But in hens or chickens, it takes 6 to 14 days. It takes 6 to what? 14 days. And during this process, the oocyte will increase in large volume. That's about 210 times, right? 200 and what? 10 times. Please, it takes 6 to 14 days for the oocyte of a hen or of a chicken to get to what? Maturity. But in human, it takes 10 to 14 days for it to get to what? Maturity. It takes 10 to 14 days for it to get to what? Maturity. But take note of this. The oocyte grows slower than the spermatocyte, which means that the spermatocyte grows faster than the oocyte. Please, spermatocytes grow within one half and half, okay, half and 1 hour. All right, so please take note of that. The oocyte grows slower than the spermatocyte, which means that the spermatocyte grows faster than the oocyte. It takes 1.5 hours for it to get to what? Maturity. Take note of that. Take note of that. And during the growth of these oocytes, the tadpoles, which are the young stages of frogs, they would metamorphose into a full-grown adult frog. All right, they will metamorphose. They will undergo metamorphosis to or to the individual adult organism, that is complete frog. The tadpoles will increase, will develop, and the adult frog is what? Produced. Now, what is the next thing? Okay, please, in mammals, for the oogonia to proliferate, it depends on intrauterine period. All right, in mammals, for the oogonia to proliferate, to produce oocytes, it depends on the intrauterine period. The intrauterine period of a mammal is the period of development of the fetus in the uterus during pregnancy. I said intrauterine period. It is a period of development of the fetus in the uterus of a male or of a female organism. Take note of that. Which means that for these oocytes to produce, it depends on this process, the various processes that occur in this intrauterine period. Take note of that. But in chordates and invertebrates, these oocytes are surrounded by special cells called follicle cells. All right, in chordates and invertebrates, these oocytes are surrounded by special cells called follicle cells. The follicle cells and the oocytes are collectively called what? Follicle. All right, which means that the wall or the membrane or the special cells that are found surrounding the oocytes are called what? Follicle or granulosa cells. All right. I said this, the special cells found surrounding the oocyte are called what? Follicle or granulosa what? Cells. And please take note of this. In the ovary, you may have the same number of what? Follicle cells, but they occur at different what? Time. They occur at what? Different time. Now, in mammals, these oocytes are derived from the germinal epithelium of the ovaries. I told us in our initial class that the primordial germ cells are derived from the germinal epithelium cells. They are derived from the germinal epithelium cells. Now, during the maturity of the oocytes, as soon as it approaches maturity, there is a cavity. Okay, before I go into that, now these follicles are found surrounding the oocytes. At first they may appear as a single layer. But as time goes on, they will increase or multiply and form rows around the oocytes. All right, they form rows around the oocyte as soon as the word multiply. Now, there's a cavity inside the follicle cells. This cavity are filled with fluid produced by the cells of what? The follicle. All right, which means that the follicle cells are cells that are responsible for the production of fluid found in a cavity on the inside of it. Now, the fluid found inside of it makes this follicle to be turgid. As soon as it becomes turgid, it develops into what is called the Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle. Alright, which means that the turgidity of the follicle triggers it to develop into Graafian follicle. Take note of this. The supposed substance that these follicle cells produce enhance growth. All right, it triggers the growth of what? This oocyte. It triggers the growth of oocyte. Therefore, it means that the oocyte is in close association with what? The follicle. Sure, since the follicle is found surrounding the oocyte, it means that the both of them are in close association. Therefore, the follicle has what is called desmosomes. That is, the oocytes of the follicles produce what? Desmosomes and microvilli. Now, when this microvilli is found around the follicle, you call it zona radiata. Zona radiata is found in mammals. Okay, the presence of this microvilli around the follicle makes it to be called zona radiata in mammals. So please take note of that. It is very, very important. Now, at this point, the oocyte does not develop further. At this point, the oocyte does not develop further. In mammals, as soon as the oogonia proliferates, definitely you know it will produce what? A primary oocytes. It will produce a primary oocyte. Then at this point, there's what we call pairing. There's pairing of homologous. There's pairing of what? Homologous chromosome. There's pairing of what? Homologous chromosomes. However, there is no further changes in these words. Development of this oocyte. All right, there are no further changes. Example is what? Mammals. For a very long time, the oocyte would refuse to what? Develop. Maybe something like 365 days, all right? It refuses to what? Develop. Therefore, some of them will what? Degenerate. Because of the long time, some of them will not get to maturity. They would what? Die off, or they will what? Degenerate. But some of them will survive. Now, the survived ones, the survived oocyte after a very long time, the survived oocytes are then triggered by hormones. They are triggered by hormones and other environmental conditions that are associated with what? Reproductive functions. What do? They trigger the enlargement of these survived oocytes. They trigger the enlargement of them. Now, this enlargement of these oocytes has to do with the cytoplasm and the nucleus, all right? Which means that the enlargement of the cytoplasm and the nucleus also causes enlargement of what? The oocyte. Take note, the cytoplasm enlarges faster than the nucleus. Take note of that. It is very, very important. Please, the survived oocytes must be triggered by hormones, all right, and other environmental conditions that are associated with what? Reproduction. Please take note of that. And now, since we've established that fact, let us now look at the various stages or the various changes that a growing oocyte undergo. Let me write on the board. Changes that a growing oocyte undergo. So there are various changes that a growing oocyte undergoes. Okay, now under this during this growth period, we have the nuclear activity. Okay, let me make it as A. Nuclear activity during growth, which means that the growth of the oocytes depends on the nuclear activities, or the activity that occurs in the nucleus, all right? The growing of the oocyte depends on the activities that occur inside what? The nuclear, that inside the what? The nucleus. Now, during this process, the nucleus of the oocyte would increase in size, all right? The nucleus of the oocyte would increase in size. Let me write on the board. The nucleus of the oocyte will increase in size as a result of the production of what? Nuclear sap. All right, it increases in size as a result of what? The production of a fluid, nuclear sap. Take note of that. As soon as it increases in size, we have the advanced oocytes. Please take note of this. The nuclei of the advanced oocyte is filled with fluid, and therefore you call it what? Germinal vesicle. All right, I said the nucleus of the oocyte will increase in size as a result of what? The production of it has been filled with fluid, so it increase in what? Size. While the nucleus of higher oocytes will be filled with the same fluid, and therefore you call it what? You call it germinal vesicle. Then number 2, under nuclear activity, all Alright, these are the activities that are called inside the what? Inside the nucleus. Now the chromosomes. Hope it's recording. Alright, thank God. The chromosomes would increase in size. They are all increasing in size. Would increase in size. But its DNA doesn't, because the cells are not ready for what? Division. Now the chromosomes found inside the nucleus will increase in size, but the DNA itself inside the chromosomes does not increase in size because the cells are not ready for what? Cell division. They are not ready for cell division. Okay, I think I'll rub off this one. Now in some animals, the chromosomes appear as lamp brushes. All right, that is number 3. In some animals, the chromosomes appear as what? Lamp brush. A good example is what? I have bars. Good examples are birds, amphibians, and sharks. All right, you can decide to use it, depends on you. Now I said the chromosomes that is under the nuclear activity, they may appear as what? Lamp brush. Good examples are found in birds, amphibians, and what? Sharks. Now this lamp brush only occur in animals having large egg. All right, this lamp brush chromosome occurs in animals that have what? Large eggs. Take note, the most complicated envelope, that is egg envelope, is found in birds. Now we'll get there. Don't just take note of it. So is there any other one? Okay, the fourth one, the nucleolus. You know, the nucleolus are found in the nucleus. The nucleolus will increase in size. The nucleolus will increase in size. Thereafter, it disintegrates, or it undergoes fragmentation. It is fragmented. Or it breaks down into different fragments. A good example is the amphibian, which means that the nucleolus will increase in size. Now, as soon as the nucleolus increase in size, they will break into different fragments to form nucleoli. All right, nucleoli is, you have many of it, but nucleolus is just one. Many nucleolus is called what? Nucleoli. You have this singular and this plural. This kind of process occurs in the amphibian. Of course, the nucleolus is associated with, the nucleolus produces high quantity or high level. Should I use quantity now, level? Let me use quantity, please. It produces high quantity, or large, not high, rather large quantity. All right, it produces large quantity of ribosomal RNA. Of course, this ribosomal RNA is associated with the production of protein, synthesis of protein during the development of the embryo. The nucleolus is responsible for the production of large quantity of ribosomal RNA, and this RNA has to do with synthesis of protein during development of what? The embryo. Take note of that, okay? Also, these 4 steps I just gave us are the activities that occur in the nucleus. In the nucleus, you see, everything that has been said so far is restricted to what? Nucleus. Now, the B part, I give us A. Under A, you have 4 steps, and you have the one that occur in the cytoplasm. You have the activities that occur in the cytoplasm during the development of the oocyte. Now, the cytoplasm will increase in quantity, and the quality of it will what? Reduce or change. I said they are all increasing in quantity. They are just all increasing in size. The cytoplasm will increase in size, or let me use quantity. Will increase in quantity, then the quality will change because of the elaboration and distribution of cell inclusions. It will increase in quantity, they will become many, then the quality will change because more cell inclusions are distributed inside of it. So what are the activities that occur during inside cytoplasm? 1, the ribosome will increase in size. All right, the ribosome will increase in size. 2, the mitochondria will increase in size, and form aggregates. As soon as mitochondria now is plural. As soon as they increase in size, they form aggregates. These aggregates are called mitochondrial cloud in birds and amphibians. All right, we can therefore say that the aggregates formed by the increased mitochondria is called what? Mitochondrial cloud. Cloud, sorry, there's no N. This occurs in birds and amphibians. This process of this mitochondrial cloud occurs in birds and amphibians. Please take note, oocyte has few amount of mitochondria. Oocyte has few amount of what? Mitochondria. Number 3. All right, number 3 stage, or number 3 step that occurs in the cytoplasm is consumption of what? Oxygen. Consumption of oxygen due to more activities, which means that increase in activity will trigger what? The consumption of what? More oxygen. Then the decrease in activities will result in what? Decrease in consumption of what? Oxygen. vis-a-vis. Number 4, take notes. As soon as activities are increased, consumption of oxygen also what? Increases. Now number 4, now the Golgi vesicle, inside the Golgi vesicles there are materials. Inside the Golgi vesicles there are materials that are made up of what? A mucopolysaccharide. All right, inside the inside the Golgi vesicle, there are materials that are made up of what? Mucopolysaccharide. Now, these materials are detached. They are parts and detached. They are part and what? Detached as cortical granules or cortical alveoli. Please take note of these steps. Take note of these steps. Within a Golgi vesicles, you have materials that are made up of what? Mucopolysaccharide. Now, this mucopolysaccharide will get packed and detached as cortical granules or cortical alveoli. Now, these cortical alveoli are distributed throughout the cytoplasm. At first, these cortical alveoli produced, they are distributed throughout the cytoplasm, but as time goes on, they are just found restricted in the cortex. They are found restricted in the cortex of the egg beneath or under, oh God, beneath or under the plasma membrane. Another word for plasma membrane is plasmalemma. Alright, so which means that the detached cortical alveoli are distributed throughout the cytoplasm, but as time goes on, they are just found restricted in the cortex of the embryo of the egg that is found under the plasma membrane, otherwise called what? Plasma lemma. So I believe this is the second stage. Second stage. The nutritive part of the egg is called what? Yolk. The nutritive part of the egg is called yolk. That is, it provides nourishments, provide food materials. Okay, I'll rub it off. Provide food materials for the egg. And the yolk is not a chemical substance. Take note, it is not made up of chemical entities. Okay, it only comprises different constituents, such as it has protein, and this protein are in the form of prosvitine and which one again? Liprovitaline. Okay, let me write again. All right, these are the proteins. Okay, and it also comprises fats. These fats are the uh, phospholipid phospholipids. Now, the yolk has protein and what? Fats. The work of the yolk is to provide what? Nourishment for the egg. It is what? Nutritive in function. Now, these type of proteins are what you have on the board. Prosvitine and lipovitline. Now, why the fat is the phospholipids. Now, when you have more of protein in the yolk, you call it what? Protein yolk. Protein yolk. Like when you have more of protein inside the yolk, but when you have more of fats, when you have more of these phospholipids inside the yolk, you call it what? Fatty yolk. All right. So please take note of that. It is very important. For instance, the amphibians. The amphibians, they have yolk. The yolk of amphibian is made up of what? Protein and glycogen. All right. The yolk of amphibian is made up of what? Protein and glycogen. This protein occurs as lipochorion. All right. Lipochorion is the type of protein that is found in the yolk of what? Amphibians. And we have different types of eggs based on the concentration of the egg, based on the concentration of the yolk present on the inside of it. Now the parts, okay, please, the yolk, take note of this, the yolk occurs in the second stage of growth. It occurs in the second stage of growth. So because of this, you now have it to be Vitelogenesis, period. Okay, let me use what? Phase. And you call this one provitelline what? Period. Okay, and now have post vitelogenesis, and you call this post vitelline what? Period. Now, since the yolk occurs in a second stage of growth, it is now divided into the vitelogenesis and the post-vitelogenesis, which is the post-vitelline period and the pro-vitelline what? Period. Take note of that. Now, the yolk of, okay, should I say the yolk now? The egg of an animal has certain amount of yolk on the inside of it, okay? Now, the parts of the yolk, the part of the egg that has less amounts of egg, less amount of what? Yolk. The part of the egg that has less amount of yolk, such as they are evenly distributed, you call it what? Isolecital or oligolecital or homolecital egg. All right. I can also call it microlecital egg. A type of egg that has little amount of yolk on the inside of it is called what? Isolecital or oligolecital or homolecital or microlecital what? Egg, which means that the yolks are evenly what? Distributed, okay? While the one that has a lot of yolk, that has a lot of yolk in it, are called what? Macrolecital egg or mesolecital egg. Alright, the egg that has a lot of yolk in it is called what? Macrolecital or mesolecital what? Egg. Please take note, the part of the egg that has little quantity of yolk is called what? The animal pole. Animal pole. The part of the egg that has little quantity of yolk in it is called what? Animal pole. But the part of the egg that has numerous yolk is called what? Vegetal pole. Take note of that. Take note of that. Now, the part of the egg that has little quantity of yolk in it is called animal pole, while the one that has a lot of yolks in it is called what? Vegetal pole. Take note of that. All right, it's still recording. Now, let us look at the different types of egg based on. Let's look at the different types of egg based on the quantity of the yolk. Although I've written it on the board, but let me give us examples and the diagram. I have perhaps like this. What you have here is what? The homolecital or isolecital or oligolecital or microlecital egg. Lecital egg. Alright, you can see now that the yolks are evenly what? Distributed. They are distributed equally. And good examples of animals that possess this type of egg are sponges, mammals, and echinoderms, like the sea stars. Alright, sponges, mammals, echinoderms possess what? Homolecital egg. Take note of that. You now have another type of egg. You now have another type of egg. You can see you have a lot of yolk in it. So this type of egg is called what? A telolecital egg. Telolecital what? Egg. This spider has few egg. We call it what? Few yolk, sorry. Animal pool. This part having a lot of yolk is called what? Vegetal pool. Okay. Vegetal pool has a lot of yolk in it, while the animal pool has few yolk in it. Examples of animals having this type of egg are mollusk, amphibians, annelids, you have lungfishes, you have cyclostomes, and elasmobranch, cyclostomes, lungfishes, annelids, amphibians, mollusks, they all possess telolecital what? Egg. Take note of that. You now have another type of egg. Now this one has numerous yolk in it. Now this is called what? A discoidal egg. Now this discoidal egg, because of the numerous amount or quantity of yolk present in it, it forms what is called a blastodisc. Blastodisc is associated with what? A discoidal egg, because of the presence of numerous yolk present in it. Therefore, you can say that discoidal egg is the higher amount of what? Telolecital what? Egg, which means that the quantity of yolk present in discoidal egg is more than the one present in telolecital egg. Examples of animals that possess discoidal egg are alright, are birds. Birds have discoidal egg. Reptiles, fishes, and squids. Alright, please take note of these examples. The discoidal egg is possessed by birds, reptiles, fishes, and what? Squids. So these are the various types of eggs that we have. Okay, we have another type of egg called centrolecital egg. Centrolecital egg. Let me see if it enter this place now. So there's a reason I love drawing, because this course is all about diagrams. So it's good we learn how to draw for this type of egg in which the yolks are just found concentrated at the middle of the egg. The type of egg in which the yolk is found at the middle of the egg is called what? Centrolecital egg. Alright, since the yolks are just found at the middle of the egg. Good example of animals that possess centrolecital egg are arthropods. Arthropods possess centrolecital egg. Please, these strands are called what? Cytoplasmic strand. Take note of that. They are called cytoplasmic strands. So these are the 4 types of eggs: homolecital, telolecital, discoidal, and what? Centrolecital. Take note of that. It is very, very important. Okay. Since we've established this fact, let us now discuss the primary and secondary envelope. Hope it's recording. Thank God for that. Yes, I'm checking because sometimes I'll just talk and talk and talk for 1 hour. Then I'll get to discover that I'll be talking to myself. So I'm just checking for a better turn up. I know, yes, say, now so I'll talk, I know. All right, so that is all for now. I think, should I continue the class? Okay, these are the 4 types of eggs. Just take note of the diagram. Take note of the diagram. Sure, this is animal parts and this is the vegetal parts. Take note of it. So I'll rub off the board now. Let us now discuss the primary and secondary envelope. The primary envelope is the type of envelope that develop in the ovary between the oocyte and the follicle. All right. Primary envelope. Now, this primary envelope, I said, is an envelope that develops inside the ovary between the follicle and the oocyte. Between the follicle and the oocyte. Now, in different animals, the egg envelope is called different names depending on the animals involved. For example, in insects, mollusks, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. All right. In insects, mollusks, birds, reptiles, and amphibians, the egg envelope is called vitelline membrane. In this, and that, the egg envelope is called what? Vitelline membrane. Take note of that. In tunicates and fishes, okay, the egg envelope is called chorion. is called chorion. Chorion is to tunicates and fishes. Vitellar membrane is to insect, mollusks, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. That is the envelope or the membrane or the structure that surrounds the egg. That is what we call what? Envelope. Envelope is called different names based on the organism involved. So then egg envelope in mammals. Egg envelope in mammals is called zona pellucida. All right, pellucida. In these organisms, the egg envelope is called vitellar membrane. In tunicate and fishes, it is called chorion. In mammals, it is called zona pellucida. However, when the ovary, okay, when the oocyte and the follicle withdraw their radiating striations, all right, radiating striations, when they withdraw their radiating what striations, the zona pellucida develops to what? Zona. All right, it develops to what? Zona. Take note of that. Then for this reason, you now have some eggs leaving the ovary of the mammalian organism. The mammalian organism. Now this egg carry with itself on the surface of the zona pellucida what is called corona radiata. Corona radiata, which means that corona radiata, zona pellucida, and plasma membrane are found in mammalian egg. This is only peculiar to what? Mammals. Corona radiata, plasma membrane, zona pellucida are found in only what? Mammals. They are found in only mammals. Okay, let me give you the diagram. I don't know. Where is the board wiper now? What kind of village people is this? They have. No, they're not same in Jesus. They're not same in Jesus' name. Please, I'm busy. Now oh God. I said in birds, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, their egg envelope is called what? Vitelline membrane. It is shown like this. You have it to be like this. You have Jesus. Now this is the ovum. Now this outer one is actually called the vitellar membrane. It's called the vitellar membrane. Now why this inner one is called the plasma membrane. Don't forget the organisms that have vitellar membrane. Do not forget that. We now have the other one. Why are you crying now? Now this first part is called chorion, and the inside is called plasma membrane. You see, fishes. I said in tunicates and fishes, the nuclear envelope is called what? Chorion, which means that plasma membrane is common to all the egg of what? Animals. You now have the last one. Now have to be like this. Let me increase the size a bit. Now have something like this around it. Now, this Okay, definitely you know that this outer one is called the zona pellucida. Now these eggs carried on the surface of the zona pellucida, they are called the corona radiata. I told us before. Definitely the inner membrane is called what? Plasma membrane. Alright. So all these I've given us are all primary envelopes. Take note of it. This one is found in mammalian organism, that is the egg of a mammal, has zona pellucida, plasma membrane, and corona radiata. Just mammals, okay? Let us now treat the secondary envelope. I said the primary envelope is an envelope that develops inside the ovary between the oocyte and the follicle. When the nuclear envelope or the egg envelope in insects, birds, reptiles, amphibians, mollusks, it is called what? Vitelline membrane. But the egg envelope in fishes and tunicates is called what? Chorion. The egg envelope in mammal is called what? Zona pellucida, alright? Zona pellucida, plasma membrane, and corona radiata are all found in the egg of mammal. Take note of that. Now let us now treat secondary envelope. Secondary envelope is an envelope that is produced by the oviducts. Secondary envelope. Alright, there's two degree, you understand? There's no space. Secondary envelope is an envelope that is produced by the oviducts. Oviducts. Alright, it is produced by the oviducts. Now, just beneath the vitelline membrane, you have jelly coats. Now, this jelly coat is made up of what? Glycoprotein. Alright, take note of that. Please, the most complicated type of egg envelope is found in birds. The most complicated type of egg envelope is found in birds. Now, their egg has 5 layers. Their eggs have 5 layers. All of these 5 layers, 4 are primary, 4 are, is it primary now? Okay, 4 are secondary envelope, while 1 is primary envelope. Primary envelope, take note of that. All of the 5 layers found in the egg of a bird, 4 are secondary envelopes, while the last one is what? A primary envelope. Let's do that. Now, what are the 5 layers now? You have the vitelline membrane. Of course, this is the primary envelope. I said we have only one, all of the 5 membranes. Then 2, we have the albumen. We have the albumen. The albumen is actually the white part of the egg. Then 3, you have the second envelope. 4, you have the first envelope. And 5, you have the shell. So which means albumen, second envelope, first envelope, and shell are examples of what? Secondary envelope. They are 4 in number. Only this first one is the primary envelope. Take note of that. What is the function of this structure? Of course, all of them, they provide what? Protection. Let me draw it, please. Let me use the diagram to explain. It's good we draw. This is very important. All right. Okay, we are going to be acting like this. Okay. Okay. Now this. Okay, you have. Okay, let me extend it out a bit. Alright, so this is the diagram of the egg of a bird. You see, it is complicated. Now, this first part you have here, this first part is actually the shell. Now, this second part is called the outer layer. This third part is called the inner layer. It's called the inner layer. Now, this very part that connects the yolk to the abdomen is called the chalaza. Chalaza. All right. So these parts, that's to be straight. It's called the active cytoplasm. Active cytoplasm. All right. While this other part here is actually the yolk. All right. And here you have the abdomen. This is the egg whites. Egg whites. All right. We have here you have S-space, S-space, and which one again? So this is the egg of a bird. You see, it is very complex compared to the ones I drew at first. This is the shell, outer membrane, which is the second membrane, the first membrane, the abdomen, and the vitreous membrane. These are the four layers or the four membranes of the, okay, outside the vitreous membrane, you have four secondary layers, which are the shell, outer membrane, inner membrane, and is anyone missing? Uh, 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 okay, third line, second layer, third layer. Yeah, exactly, that is it. So it is very important. Take note of the diagram I've drawn in. So this is how it is in the textbook. Just go through it very well and check. This is a shell. In all of these, they provide protection. This abdomen also assists the yolk in providing nutrient for the embryo. Then the chalaza is that part that joins the yolk to the abdomen. It joins the yolk to the what? Abdomen. That it suspends it from the upper parts and the lower part of the egg. So at this point, to call it a day. So no. Let me give you a diagram of the ovary. So this one is just the egg of a bird. That is quite complicated. As that the most complicated type of egg is found in birds. Take note of that. So diagram of the ovary. Diagram of the ovary. We have something like this. All right. This is called uh, primary follicle. That is called a primary follicle. You now have so this one is called the Graafian follicle. Then this space, they have this filled fluid space is called the anthrone. Anthrone, okay, take note of that. You now have this part is called the primary oocytes. The primary oocytes, and this one is called the follicle cells or granulosa cells. All right, follicle cells or what? Granulosa cells. You now have the last one here. These ones, they are called the follicle or primordial cells. All right, so this is the structure of the ovary. The structure of the ovary. So I've explained every part here, so there's no need in saying a word now. Everything has been explained. So this is the structure of the ovary. So at this point, we'll call it a day. Thanks for watching. Please endeavor to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Do have a wonderful day.